Welcome to a new video of the Fallengiantz podcast, and it's the deadly duo, the real OGs, back in town for this one. How you doing, Nick?
I mean, not as bad as you probably think, actually. To be honest, isn't what a lot of people would think. Yeah, I'm not like. Listen, I knew what was coming, so it could be worse. We just move, innit? We just got to move.
Yep, and for anyone that lives under a rock, it was the derby weekend in the sense of two derbies, the North London derby and the Manchester derby. Obviously, the North London derby went well for me, and the Manchester derby didn't go so well for Nick. But maybe we'll talk about how the scoreline flattered you a little bit.
I'm just thinking there was 13 goals in between them two games as well. To be fair, as well, yeah. So it was a lot. It was action packed. To be fair. Yeah, go on. I mean, we may as well start with the North London though, since that was early kickoff on the Saturday.
Yeah, early kickoff Saturday. We actually both, if you haven't checked
it was early kickoff.
Yeah, a little bit annoying. We wanted it to be the evening game, but we could say that about your one as well. For some reason, the 2:00 kickoff.
Yeah.
In terms of the North London derby, we both actually said the same score, but we both called 3-1, and that's what it ended on Saturday. And yeah, Arsenal's still top of the league still. Obviously, for me, I'm at the moment, I want us to be doing this, even though I've been sort of arguing stuff, and it's about Arteta and Arsenal in particular achieving this year for me. But there's not much I can say apart from we've beat our local rivals, we've just won with a good performance as well, not just like got the result. And we still sit top of the league. Yeah, there's not really two negatives.
I was thinking there's going to be actual no evidence that we said it was 3-1 because we were supposed to upload. Basically, me, Malison, and Chaz all recorded on Thursday a combined North London Derby 11, and it never got uploaded because we had a few busy nights coming up at nights and completely.
I think we were meant to do it Friday night, and we hit up Old Street. So
yeah, we prioritize FIFA and night out basically before the upload. So that just shows you how committed we are. But we both did say that. To be fair, we do actually have that stored in the bank if we need to put it anywhere. So
I don't know if you tweeted anything or anything. I did in the morning. I just said that.
Yeah, I saw you just think
Arsenal win this game. I did think that, and that was why I was, I'm not necessarily almost the most optimistic Arsenal fan, but this one I felt that we were going to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at this game in two ways. Really, I was thinking that Arsenal always beat Spurs at the Emirates. You can look at it like that. But I look at it more of just a continuation of your good performances and a great start to the season, really. Like, I knew you were going to beat Spurs, but Arsenal, there's an unfortunate regular occurrence that's carrying on with these Arsenal games and results, is that people seem to be making excuses that Arsenal playing lower opposition, or that this team isn't in form when they're playing Arsenal at the time. But kind of, you've got to give Arsenal credit for beating what's in front of them at the moment. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's becoming hard to argue. I'm probably one of them people that have given, because we've said in previous podcasts where I struggle to let the sort of standards drop, and they've sort of bruised me over the last 5-10 years or whatever.
Yeah, you're in. There's a huge chunk of fans online that are very similar. I've seen. Yeah.
So, but right now, if we continue to keep doing it, there's going to be a stage where I'm just going to have to change like what I'm saying, because
because that's what happens. Football does change. I know. I still respect that you're keeping your feet on the ground, and you still should. But at the same time, you've got to enjoy 7 out of 8 wins as well. And it's just, as I said, and I'll keep on saying, at the minute, you're probably the best team in the league. I'm still going to say it, even though we'll get into the City game after.
Yeah.
At the moment, you have been the best consistently. In terms of consistency, I really do believe that. and it's hard to it's hard to nitpick really anything negative at Arsenal at the moment, to be honest. I mean, we saw your first setback against us a month ago now, and you've come back with 2 wins now.
Yeah. That, I suppose that was one thing that I think I remember back in one of my own videos where I said that it was a disappointing day against you guys, saying that we still, we played well, but we still ended up losing at the end of the day. But it was all about the response. I know it was meant to be, I think, Everton before we had some delays and postponements, but it was about how we sort of took that on the chin and just went straight back into it. And obviously we saw that at Brentford, and then now Tottenham.
I think it's just because we're seeing a continuous pattern. Arsenal, whether they concede in a game or lose a game, they're showing that they're not as phased as they used to be, that they'll just carry on with the game plan that Arteta's set up. Well, the philosophy that Arteta's set at the club now. And they know their roles. They know that, they're very well drilled now. And I just feel like they're just going to continue with their game, whether they're 2-0 down or 3-0 up, for example, as well. It is and it's good. We're seeing this is what you want to see as an Arsenal fan. This is exactly what you want to see. And I'm just thinking it's going to be hard, to stop Arsenal this season. I'm not saying you're going to go and win the league, but it's going to be hard to not many teams are going to beat Arsenal this season.
Yeah. And that, giving us a bit of a reference to Ollie, that was something where he feels that he's going in with so much confidence. It's almost like he's starting to think, where are the defeats coming from? Now, obviously, as the season goes past, we're going to lose some games, but I think we had 12 defeats last season. If we can get that, even knock a few off, there's a lot of points in there.
But yeah, just back to the way you're playing. Yeah, we're seeing kind of mirror images in a lot of games of patterns of play now. In terms of, I'll give you a few examples. The link up between Ødegaard and Saka, for example. Xhaka getting in the left half space and dinking a ball into Jesus like he did in the back-to-back games now. Obviously, Ollie always bangs on about the progression of Xhaka up the pitch. Just even Ben White and Zinchenko tucking in. I'm just talking from a tactical kind of point of view now. Yeah. It's like, do you know City where it's rinse and repeat? We're seeing the same. What we always see with City. We'll get De Bruyne and Bernardo in them half spaces doing the overlaps, and they pull it back to Haaland or Sterling, who it was last season, for example. Yeah. It's almost like watching the same goal over and over again, basically. And remember, we called it the City goal. Remember, if you were to use a FIFA analogy, City used to sweat it quite a lot, didn't they? They just they still do it. They sweat across the box all the time. I feel like Arsenal was starting to see that now as well, really come to fruition. And
even I saw a video today of Partey's goal, and we did the exact same move in a previous game where he just missed the target. But you're completely right. Then patterns of play, it almost is impressive in the sense that you see this with City. It's like what they're doing, and you can work out their tactics, but they're just so good at doing it, so you can't stop it.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of improving your personnel in your squad. So you are getting you are going to get better results and more clinicality. But even not just for the Partey goal, because that was it was a great shot, but you're showing a lot of patience around the box, which I tried to explain to you and Ollie during the United match, where it was you're not rushing things, you're waiting for the opportunity to arise. No one's taking pop shots or anything like that as well. It's very, very patient. And it's hard not to compare it to City. It's very City-esque, not at the level at the moment, but it's going along them lines, and that's why it's been so impressive this season as well.
Yeah, and another thing where I'm impressed with Arsenal, and there is a little bit of similarity, is some of them games where we struggled, or not struggled because we got the wins, but when we conceded, yes, I'm still frustrated about the conceding, but what City do is they go back down the other end very quickly and get the goal.
They trust themselves. They're fully, nothing phases them. We saw when City drew 3-3 with Newcastle a couple of months back. We see it.
They trust that they can score at any moment. And I do feel that Arsenal feel that way right now. I feel like they play with that confidence.
Like, if I was to look on the flip side, there's still going to be fans, rival and Arsenal fans, that are out there waiting for that downfall to happen. They're waiting for it. Whether that's injuries throughout the World Cup or just before the winter time when the fixture congestion starts happening now in October into November.
Well, apparently we've got 9 games this month.
Yeah.
That's the sort of when is it? It's somewhere around the 18th, 20th of November when the World Cup comes in.
Yeah. Something. I think it is literally one of them 2 days.
So I would imagine if we got 9 this month, we probably have another, I don't know, let's just say 5 before then. So we're potentially looking at somewhere in the sort of 14 games before the World Cup.
Yeah. Hefty, now, isn't it? It's hefty.
That's a lot of games, and
it's not just Arsenal; it's everyone, at least anyway. So it is everyone, but you're just worried about the actual squad depth to actually deal with that, really.
Yeah, you just feel that there is, and I know there is key men. Or like we'll talk about Haaland later if he got injured, but there is people like Thomas Partey, for example. Right now, as much as he deserves credit for it, Xhaka's become awfully important. Okay, we have Tierney, but Zinchenko came back in the side yesterday. You just feel as though that could be where we're really stretched, and that's what probably a lot of rival fans are hoping, that the injuries come with the Europa League and stuff like that, because they want this sort of form to stop.
Yeah, I think just more going back into the actual game then. Obviously, we mentioned Partey scoring that great goal outside the box.
Yeah.
Then there was a moment where we've seen a few times where Arsenal have, they've shown it's just stupidness from Gabriel, really, again, to be honest, really. That's
I watched it back today, and so they sort of counter and it goes over to the right, but they actually, the ball, I don't know if it was Son, but whoever tries to play it to Richarlison, he overhit it.
It was Son. Yeah. Son overhit it, yeah.
So they actually messed the chance up. So now you think, okay, he's going wide of the goal. You've got a bit of time to reset. There's players recovering.
He dinks it back in. Ramsdale tries to get a hand on it, and it goes over him. And then I think, funny enough, I know I'm not putting Xhaka was man of the match by a mile. He was as well, and he literally got your player of.
Oh, he mistouches it. He
mistouches it, and then it allows Richarlison to get onto it, and then.
But it does feel as though Gabriel does. I don't want to slander him too much. Of course, we've got to talk about the win and all that, but him recently, he's the one that it didn't really, the way that Richarlison's going. Of course, Richarlison can score from there, but the way it was going, it was a bit like he just jumped in for no reason. He dived in for it and missed.
Let's be brutally honest. You're very good at the moment. You're sitting top of the league pretty. He's your weak link. He is your weak link.
Yeah, well,
he's weak links in every team. And as much as he may have won over the fans since he's joined last year or the year before, he's your current weak link this season. He is.
And you see it even more because Saliba started so well.
Yep.
When White was alongside him, White was trying to prove to the fans himself. So it was almost like they picked one, right, last year.
Yeah.
When Saliba is outperforming him and a lot of defenders in the Premier League, it's very difficult. It then highlights him even more, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, and it's just one of them that you can think of the mistakes he's made already at the top of your head. So it's one of them that that happened. And then Spurs. The thing is, though, I did
question it. I'm not gonna lie. I questioned it, in the sense of, are we gonna have? Is this gonna?
No. But you did have every right to, because when I was watching the game, there was a few moments even prior to that Spurs did have encounters. I remember Perisic got in completely free on the left side, and he did. I mean, the shot was poor, but he had a lot of space down there.
Yeah, there was another one that Ramsdale saved. Was that before the goal? It might have been before.
Yeah, that was actually before your goal when Richarlison got his foot on it. There was moments. There was 3 or 4 occasions Spurs got themselves into very dangerous areas. We all know Arsenal were the better team on the day, and they dominated the game. But there was little worries, isn't there? There's just little things that I don't think unless you're unbiased and you can't look at it through an Arsenal lens that you have to look at. And I know it sounds nitpicky, but it's not. It's just you're kind of seeing a glimpse into the future that can we get punished? Can we get punished eventually?
Yeah, and also, to achieve the very best things, you have to be nitpicky because
you have to.
There's City fans out there that they have to be nitpicky because they, there's stuff where they've hit perfection, but not really perfection. They've achieved great stuff, but then you can always bring things that you can find. So
yeah, exactly. And we'll briefly touch about your next game against Liverpool after we dissect this game. But Liverpool have them opportunities to counter-attack. That's the thing as well. It's just we know they're not great at the minute, but you never know. Salah on his day or whatever, like they could thrive on that all game.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So we'll see. But obviously Spurs got the goal back through Harry Kane, scored the pen. There was no doubt he was always going to score that. And then second half, I think that the end of the first half fizzled out really.
Yeah.
And then the second half, you started it just as well as the first half, really, basically. And then Saka comes in, shoots. I saw on your video, you said it was a little mistake or whatever, a bit of a mistake.
So, Lloris fumbled it.
I think it was a shocker, really, and it was. They must be gutted for that. I mean, I know they didn't play well, but
at that stage of the game, I get you.
That it's one of them that if they could have got through maybe 15 minutes, got to the 60-minute mark, tensions would arise. You know what the crowd are like as well, and they would have. It changed the game. I know that we'll get into the red card, but that for me really changed the game. That goal because Spurs looked low after that. They did as honestly, and it was a shocker because great from Jesus to anticipate and be the first to pounce.
Yeah, instincts are there.
Which I know that's one thing I praised him about. He's got natural number 9 instincts. But it's a shocker from Lloris, and not really Romero too much because he's not expecting his goalkeeper to fumble it like that. To be honest, it was all a bit of a mess. Jesus pounced, and I think the vibes were good. But I think the vibes are good at Arsenal since that documentary come out. I don't know. They're acting as if they're still getting filmed. I was saying during the game as well, because even after the first goal, was it the first goal? Xhaka was trying to get everyone in a huddle.
They did have a huddle, and
I was thinking, are they getting a new Netflix or Disney Plus thing now? So I was thinking, bloody hell, they're going to get filmed again. Like it feels like they're creating a show at this point. It does feel a bit like a show. Which listen, as long as you're winning, I'm not going to slate it, to be honest.
Because also I don't know if it was mentioned in the documentary. We played that song again. Did you know that pre-match we played our Arsenal anthem that we've got now? I don't know. To be honest, there might be people out there that can tell me in the comments. I don't know if we played that just because it was the North London derby, or we've been playing that at home games. I'm not sure. But it did seem that they were trying to play a song for fans to sing to.
Listen, whatever gets you the psychological edge, I also respect that. Arteta, for me, is like showing that he's on the cusp of being an elite tactician and coach, but is he trying to maybe improve the psychological side of things? Because that's obviously, we know down the years, we've seen the likes of Fergie, Klopp, for example, and Mourinho even, like we've seen how important psychological side of things are and mentality. You can be the greatest tactician in the world, but if you ain't got it right mentally, then it's not, it won't. You can't really succeed as well as you should. I mean, listen, there's good. I said Arsenal, very good vibes. It's vibes at the moment. The crowd, the players responding to the crowd, the manager, everything just seems to be on board. Everyone's on board with each other at the moment. Yeah. And we haven't said this for 15 years minimum, to be honest, as well. Back to where were we at in the game?
We'd gone 2-1 up, and the red card.
Okay, and then the game went on for a little bit longer. I still think Spurs were rattled, and they weren't playing well even before the red card.
They started to lose the ball a little bit.
They were just, they weren't comfortable. Yeah, I think that I'll get into why I think Conte did make a few mistakes in that himself. We haven't really looked at it from a Spurs point of view, really.
Yeah.
So then obviously the red card occurred. I don't know what I think I briefly heard your opinions. on it. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, well, this is the thing with once the sort of when the ref pulls out the card, then they're not really, unless it's a major issue, like a major mistake, they're not going to really overturn them ones. So
I think it was a red card because it was just, maybe I'm looking at it from, I just think it was stupid. That's why as well. I mean, I listen. It caused a lot of debate online. It did. I know it did, and there was a lot of people that have the opposite opinion to me. But don't give the referee a chance to look at something like that, because it looked reckless. And listen, I know Spurs fans' opinion on Emerson. They despise that guy.
Yeah, well, I said in one of my videos, like literally, I was sitting in a bar with obviously half Arsenal, half Tottenham.
Yeah,
and they were not Arsenal fans. Tottenham fans were bantering when he got the ball. Not Arsenal.
No, I had the same. I was in a different pub. I swear on my life, they were bantering literally. I was filled with half and half again, and it was one of them that a lot of clubs have them circus players. They have them joke of a player, well, at least one or two that you're just like, oh, every time you see them in the lineup, you feel sick a little bit, honestly, because you feel like you just know there's a possibility that something's going to go really bad. And with Emerson, it seems to be a regular thing, and I can see Spurs' fans' frustrations why they keep on choosing him when they have two other options at right wing back if they need to. And if they can visibly see that he's not playing well, trust me, I've been there, you've been there. It kills you to keep seeing the same old shite in the same team. It's probably the most frustrating thing as a fan, isn't it? To keep seeing the same lineup or the same players that you don't want to see.
Well, I'd imagine they'd be hoping that he's not going to get back in the team after that.
He's got a 3-match ban. They're begging for Jed Spence. I don't know really what the deal is with that in general. Like I've heard that Conte didn't. The club wanted him. Conte just approved it, and he's not really a fan of it. I don't know, but I'd even rather Doherty right now than Emerson.
Yeah, I think it's down to one of them to take their spot now, because even the red card, before that, I remember Martinelli sort of skipped past him in one.
Yeah, I see it.
I remember Jesus' chance where he made the save. Emerson was getting done up there in the box again as well.
Yeah. I know the ones. Yeah. It's one of them that he just doesn't fill you with confidence. You've got to remove him out of that team. And he removed himself out of the team. In the end anyway, so that happens. And then literally 5 minutes later, Xhaka gets his goal. And that's what Ollie's been banging on about, him pushing up the pitch and getting into the box now. And he
deserves a lot of credit. He's really transformed his game as well. Like I always sort of used to.
I didn't think he had the mobility to do that. Like in terms of to be. It depends. If he's placed up there, then I guess that's fine. But he's not. It's not as if he's being a box to box player. Like he's just naturally higher up the pitch, isn't he? In the first place, position wise, like.
And in that goal in particular, there wasn't a lash. He took an
as soon as the opening arrived, I knew it was a goal. That's one of them there's some things in football that you just can't, you just know. And I knew it was a goal. It was too open and perfect, for him to miss that almost, because he didn't even put it in the corner. It was just so powerful. It went under Lloris's hand.
Yeah.
And it was one of them. All you need to do is just keep your head down and keep the ball down, and that it should go in most of the time, unless the keeper makes a worldie of a save, really. But,
and after his, so far this season, he's deserved a moment like that. To be fair to him,
it was good that he nicked it from Martinelli, because Martinelli actually didn't even mean to. He was going to go on and on and on to try and work a shot for himself, but he actually took the ball off Martinelli effectively as well, which was good. And that was it, really. The game after that wasn't really anything, to be honest. So it was just one of them. I mean, we saw what Conte, just to briefly, go and look at Spurs' side of things. Actually, after it was it 3-1, Conte accepted defeat, and he was like, "Let's just keep the score down now." And I think I had Maddison with me in that, and he was getting annoyed. He was, we should go all out attack now as well. And I was like, "No, you've lost. Just take the loss. You take a 2-goal loss and get out of there."
Because I'm not saying, obviously Madison's hoping that they can turn it around, but a 4-1, a 5-1,
mate,
it's not going to look good, is it?
It's important that it was sensible from him that psychologically that's just take a 2-goal loss is not the worst result they've ever had at the Emirates as well. And it's one of them that he definitely takes part to blame in the whole result and how they approached the game from the very start. But once you're in that position, he used his experience there basically to see it out really. And yeah, so really we were both personally, we were expecting him to go with 3-man midfield.
That was the sort of thing that if I was ever going to question, I know we said that Arsenal would win, but if I was going to question anything, I felt that was their opportunity to pack out and really
it's not even
nullify a little bit of our biggest threat, really.
And it wasn't even, I don't even think just to sit back and pack it up. Like they could have retained the ball better with 3 of them in the midfield as well. They could have, and that's not, Basuma's great at that as well. That's probably his best thing about being press resistant and being able to keep hold of the ball and not lose it. So I just think he really missed the trick there, to be honest, because I think Richarlison was crap. And I just feel like, I would have accepted it if Kulusevski was fit. I would have accepted them doing the 3-4-3, yeah? But because Kulusevski wasn't fit and we know how much balance he provides with that left foot on the right channel, Richarlison was shoehorned into that team, in my opinion. You didn't need to put him on the right, really. So I know he was great on the international break, but don't just put him in for the sake of it. Think about more the balance of the team. And I think Son and Kane together would have worked a lot better for them. I think Son down the middle would have really worked a lot better, to be honest, in my opinion. I really do think it would have been a lot closer game, to be honest, if that was the case.
And that's at the end of the day, we can't, we're not saying that Conte is a bad manager. We're just saying that, there's even the best managers they can get things wrong. So, you have to highlight some things, and I know that a lot of Tottenham fans did highlight that one about the potential having 3 in midfield or 3 centre mids.
Yeah, I think this could be the well, I say hopefully, I don't care, but for Spurs fans' sake, hopefully this can be the catalyst to maybe not be so stubborn and maybe be flexible in certain games now, which I'll get onto when I talk about my club as well. You're hoping that we've seen he believes in his tried and trusted, but let's see if he can now show a bit more flexibility. And I know, listen, I could say the same about Arsenal. You're pretty much playing the same lineup most of the time and the same philosophy, the same tactics. But let's see if you can change things. I don't know. This is what managers get paid for. Let's see when you do go and play City at the Etihad. Maybe let's see if Arteta does do something different. With the lineup as well.
100%.
But yeah, that you ran out easy winners as per usual. It's been, as we said, it's been a long, long time since they won at the Emirates. So you remain top of the league, really. So we may as well move on to the next derby.
Yeah, so all good for Arsenal. And for now, we are top of the league. So we are top of the league.
I mean,
I had to get out of there, probably for Ollie more than anything. Going on to the Manchester derby for some reason. Was there a reason? 2 p.m. on a Sunday? I'm not really sure.
It made sense to be 4 p.m. That's what I normally associate these big games with on a Sunday.
Yeah. If someone knows, they can tell us in the comments.
I think potentially not still policing issues. I think because they've done that with the North London derby as well. So maybe that's why both were early. For example, I think there's something to do with that.
I've just I looked before the game, and that's why I was like, never seen the big game be the early one. I just assumed. But anyway, we watched it together.
Briefly, I do want to preview, obviously, the fixtures coming out this week. Obviously, you lot have got the Scousers as well. So, yeah, I do want to get, maybe in a separate video, I want to do that because that'll be an interesting game coming up on Sunday.
And who knows, we may look at streaming.
Yeah, true. Both our teams play on that day as well, to be honest. It's back-to-back as well. So that could be a long, we could do 4 or 5 hour stream on that day, to be fair.
Potentially going to do a big one. We'll let you know on Twitter if we what we decide. Manchester City 6, Man United 3.
God, that sounds, even you laying it out like that sounds it just sounds odd, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does sound.
It's an odd scoreline. I actually, funny enough, just a weird fun. I remember Arsenal losing 6-3 there. This was a while. It must have been about 6, 7 years ago, I think.
It was with like Negredo and stuff like that for City.
I think I can just remember. Maybe it was under Wenger, actually. Even I think it may have been under Wenger,
Yeah,
which
I
wasn't
think
a
it
great,
was.
because it was like I can't remember who scored. I just remember it was 6-3. It was as well. It was a bit of a mental game.
Yeah. Didn't at one stage we get it back to either 3-2 or something, and then they just put even more.
I'm gonna wait. Hold on, just for the viewers, I'm gonna quickly fact check this. Hold on.
I'm pretty sure. Well, Negredo played. I'm pretty sure he scored. I can't remember off the top of my head the other goal scorers. It was when
It
they
was
had them
6-3.
like Spanish players.
6-3, yeah. It
Yeah.
was in 2013. This was, yeah. And yeah, you're right. So we got Aguero and Negredo, a double for Fernandinho, David Silva, and a Yaya Toure penalty at the end.
Right. Yeah.
And then Walcott scored a couple as well. Yeah, and Walcott scored a couple as well.
I don't remember the Fernandinho goals. Don't remember them.
Well, 2 goals. Mertesacker scored in the end. Yaya Toure scored at the end. So it was a bit of a fun history fact. But back to recent history. I just think, as you said, we all watched it together, me, you, and Ollie. I was going in with no expectation anyway, to be honest. I said a 3-1 loss, which was like generous to us. And I said I would have taken that, to be honest. But yeah, to be honest, from the first, Ollie got it spot on during the game. As soon as Dalot took out bloody Grealish on the flanks in the first minute, you knew it was going to be a rough day. It was going to be a long, long day. You got a yellow card within a minute and a half, and I was thinking, "Fuck me, this is gonna drag." And literally 2 minutes later, City we cleared 2 off the line. De Gea's crawling around the floor. McTominay's putting his body on the line. You're just thinking this is can't. Honestly, it's just torture watching it. And then it took about 8 minutes for Foden to get them underway. And it's just City doing City things, man. Like all the goals we've seen this goal so many times, and it almost gets to the point where, as you said about Arsenal now, it's so hard to stop it. It's so hard to stop it.
Yeah. Obviously we're going to go into it. There's a lot of things that you could argue, you could do, but sometimes when they're in this mode, it's just like they just feel like they can score, and they dub. And they scored Ireland scored in the 34th and the 37th minute. There's 3 minutes in between 2 goals.
Well,
it's just ridiculous.
If I was to reverse back to my pre-match thoughts, and the reason I said it's going to be a long day and I wasn't expecting much is because I know where we are on our journey, first of all, and there's no chance.
Of course.
There's no. I'm sorry. I know we won a few under Ollie against Pepsi, but this is different. I feel like we're at the start of a journey again, and you have to. Unfortunately, as a fan, you've got to be realistic. At the end of the day, Arsenal lost 5-0 there last year as well. You have to be realistic. I'm sure you were going in with the same mindset last season. There's no way you thought you were getting anything out of that game. You were just looking to keep the score down, basically, in that game. And it's just
100%.
one of them. You have to accept they're the best team on the planet, even though we were still waiting for them to win that European title, that forbidden European title. But they are the best team on the planet. And it's one of them that I will be lauding City more than I actually will be disrespecting United as much, but I'm just looking at it from my point of view as a fan first. I just wasn't that lineup that we've seen for the last 5 games in a row now in the league. I respect that Ten Hag wants to create a winning, he wants to play players on merit, and that merit was worthy there. We won 4 out of 4. But that's the thing. It was like, okay, cool. But I did tell you, why was he waiting for us to take this humbling or make these mistakes rather than be a bit more proactive than reactive?
Yeah.
If you know what I'm trying to say. Like, we signed Casemiro for 60 million for games like these. And I know it's early on in his journey and our journey, but it's one of them that I'd rather someone that is so, he's experienced at the highest level in the biggest games. I still think you would be able, I don't think it would make too much of a bigger deal if we swapped him and McTominay, for example, or played McTominay and him. I don't know. I thought Ten Hag was just a little bit too stubborn for me going into the game.
Yeah, so of course, everyone gets a bit worried when people really criticise people and that. like you're proper questioning him. But I do feel as though so since them 2 defeats at the start of the year, where it was going all wrong, I've said I feel that he found a way to find that first win. Then it turned into 4, so it was very, because I still don't believe this is anything near, and I think you agree, anything near what Ten Hag wants to play, right?
Yeah.
So he's found a way to get some results, and you end up getting 4 in a row. I do agree that I think it was a bit naive to not change for this one or do something different. Yeah, I mean, Casemiro, you're right. He's like sitting on the bench and he's been brought in for that. There was a lot after the game being spoken about Ronaldo. Should have been spoken about Casemiro, to be honest.
Yeah, perfectly said. Yeah, we'll get into the Ronaldo thing. Yeah,
he's a Champions League winner from last season. You signed him for, what did you say, 60 million?
Yeah.
He's one of the best defensive midfielders in the world still. And he hasn't started over at McTominay. Now, I'm not saying that McTominay's been bad, but there is a little bit of naivety in there for me.
Yeah, and I think Ten Hag needs to learn from this that it sounds as if I'm being arrogant, as if I know better, because I'm saying that he should have been proactive rather than reactive. I still do believe that. I'm not going to shy away from that. It's just the fact that we know it. I'm just thinking in my head that I hope he saw before this game that he kept saying there's room for a lot more improvement, even during these wins, which I was happy about.
Yeah.
But I saw that we got away with a lot of moments against Arsenal, Liverpool, even the 2 away games that I was thinking a better team is going to punish us, and that's what happened. I'm not saying even if he went with my preferred lineup and setup, we would have got anything better. Like we would have probably still lost the game.
Yeah, exactly. Of course,
it's one of them that I just hope that I know he will. I know he will change things. I just know he will. Was already maybe he was.
Well, we said this yesterday. We both said this to each other. It's almost a perfect opportunity now. Now I know you're arguing, or not arguing, but you're saying now that potentially he didn't want to just take the humbling then do it, but he's got even more reason now to be allowed to say, right, our sort of results, our form has sort of been faltered. So now let me think of something or change something.
I think there was a few things that did make sense, a few that didn't. If I'm still carrying on about this lineup, I'm happy with the back 4.
Yeah.
I'll get into why I think Luke Shaw should come back in for the moment in a bit as well. I'm happy with that. It was the midfield that really worried me, and it was the midfield that was proven right as to the reason we pretty much lost this game. Because we were getting over. I mean, Chaz, we saw 4 to 5 times Akanji and Ake running into these spaces without getting challenged. Yeah, and not just that. I mean, even for the great when De Bruyne for the third goal, where there's so much space for him to do what he wants. Like if you're like. He's the best midfielder on the planet. The last thing you need to do is give him loads of time to pick out what he wants to do. And I'm just thinking, we're making it so easy for them. Like, and Ten Hag must be thinking that, like, at least make it harder for them. And that's why I was querying that. People were saying, "Oh, look, Eriksen's running stats are great. He does. He gets himself about, but he ain't physical, and he gets overrun. Even though he's transitioned into this deep lying midfielder, which I believe he can play." As long as he has legs around him. But we saw him get so overrun. And even for that third goal, he could have easily, actually, if he had a bit of spite about him and a bit of, that kind of dark arts about him in football, he could have pulled someone down or got a yellow and stopped from happening. But because he's so passive and used to being in the final third of the pitch throughout his career, he just doesn't have that about him at the minute to be going away to the best team on the planet and playing in a 2-man midfield with Scott McTominay, who's not even a defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
We're going, to put it bluntly, we're going away to City with no defensive midfielder. Again, we need to stop. We need to play Casemiro. Like, McTominay's done well, but he's not a CDM. He's not. Chaz, he was playing in the reserves. He was playing up front at times in number 10. As well, this is who he is. We know McTominay's best attributes, are striking the ball and passing it with clean technique. He's not really an all-action tackler, really, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
So that's where we lost the game, you think? The midfield was just where it instantly...
Yeah, because you can't say, like, again, you can't say if you did this, it would have changed it. But at the end of the day, they didn't have their DM in Rodri.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up.
They had 3 very techie players, of course.
Yeah.
Like to have the ball, like to find space, like to drive with it. And it felt like you played into their hands.
Yeah. If anything, you're thinking, I remember before the game, you're thinking, shit, Rodri's out. That's a massive miss.
Yeah.
We need to do something we need to try and take advantage of that big miss for them as well. And I get Rashford up front. I understood it. He was awful on the day again. And people need to realize that. So was Eriksen. So was everyone pretty much. But City, to give them credit, if I'm going to kind of combine, me getting at United, but also bigging up City, is that City played 2 very quick centre-backs in Akanji and Ake, probably for that reason, because Diaz and Laporte were available on that bench. And to be fair to Pep, how many times have people, and we've criticised him in the past, of being maybe too stubborn, and that's been his downfall in big European games, for example, and why City have never won the Champions League, is because he either overthinks things or he is too stubborn. It's one or the other. But he showed in this game that he had a bit of tactical flexibility, which I was saying that see if Arsenal can do that as well.
Yeah.
And he counteracted our counter-attacking kind of method. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to give him credit for that. I really have to.
On the day, I thought, well, I'll give props to both of them. I thought Akanji was very good.
Mate, Akanji was quality. He was absolutely mustard, to be fair. It's always Ake. But it's just one of them. So, that was my opinion, on just the pre-match. We'll get into the actual goals now.
Yeah.
So Foden's first goal was a very City-esque goal, wasn't it? It was just, we've seen that a lot of times. Even Foden, he does love that first-time flick finish in the box. Do you know what it reminds me of a little bit? Even though the complete size difference, it reminds me of Giroud a little bit, the way he used to score his goals.
He ran to the near post.
Run in, and you know where they because the pace of the ball that comes in is so powerful, they just let it hit their foot, and it goes. They kind of just let it delicately just off their foot. It goes normally into the roof of the net or in the corners. So it really is, that Foden technique is very Giroud-esque, and it's a hard technique to do because you need to take the power out of the ball and direct it almost.
Yeah.
In one moment, which is Foden's brilliant at that. And I think that City, again, we're talking about patterns of play. We're seeing now the same things happen over and over again now with City. Even I can remember Foden doing it against Wolves just before the whole the Queen stuff happened, and that the game before that. City, Foden scored exactly the same type of goal near post.
Yeah.
He's right foot this time. So I mean that I can't, I can't. I've run out of superlatives of how good they are. So, and then the second goal, that was interesting because do you remember in the midst of the build-up before that, Varane was on the floor the whole time for pretty much. City were having pop shots after pop shots at goal until De Bruyne finally kind of knuckleballed one in the middle of the goal. De Gea tipped it over. And then Varane was still on the floor. And I was thinking, okay, cool. City have played on. Varane's had to go off the pitch now because we thought it was a head injury, but it was actually to do a twist in his ankle.
Yeah, because the medic came on or whatever.
Yeah, and then obviously as soon as he's off, it wouldn't have made a difference anyway. But we're down to 10 men, and then Haaland does what Haaland does, and he's just an absolute fucking freak of nature, to be honest.
Just climbs above everyone.
I'm telling you right now, he's a cyborg. But I swear that he needs to. I was watching another show, and they say he needs to get tested for PEDs or some sort of steroids or something. This guy is fucking. He doesn't even look like a human. Like, he looks weird. He looks odd. He's built odd as well.
He's becoming a bit of I think the nickname is a robot or something, or a cyborg or something like that. So yeah,
you think that's a bad nickname? There's even worse one they've got. They call him the Nordic Shield or something. Meat Shield. No, Meat Shield. I don't know what that means as well, but it sounds. I don't know what it's. But yeah, it was just Haaland. Climbed over. Eriksen was supposed to be marking him, which was stupid in the first place. And then he climbed over McTominay, and then obviously it was cleared off the line, but it went over in the end. Then that was it, 2-0. And then I know at that point the game's done. That was it for me. Like there was no comeback from there. Like 1-0 was enough, but 2-0 confirmed the game was done.
Yeah, that early on as well.
And then I think, yeah, that was when the second goal is when we got rattled. That's when we were completely lost our heads during them. But like we needed half-time to come ASAP during that point, because it could have been a cricket score, even in that where it was a cricket score in the first half. And then, yeah, the third goal. What was the third goal? That was the other Haaland goal, yeah?
That was the KDB, yeah, the pass, yeah. 3 minutes after that was.
That was brilliant. Everything was great. The KDB pass, the Haaland, the way he peeled off and scored back post. But it's hard not to look at it from a United point of view of thinking, how have we allowed that to happen?
Oh, of course. There's a lot. It's not as much as it's like a fantastic world-class pass, a world-class goal in a sense, but it's not like, you were backs behind the ball. They sort of had to break you down, and they found a special moment.
It wasn't like it wasn't in tight areas. It wasn't special in tight areas. They had literally the whole pitch, like all the grass to look at as well. Yeah,
they drove forward, and then you gave De Bruyne, if he needs any time, you gave him hours, and he found obviously the thing I like about the link up. And this is why I really rate KDB, and I probably talk about more. If you are to talk about City, I'll probably talk about more him than anyone else, even Haaland. Now, he just puts it in areas, and now Haaland's is working it out, or just has the instincts for a striker to be there. It's just world class.
Chaz, 14 goals in 8 games is not that's unprecedented. That's not normal. That's not even Messi, Ronaldo at this point. I'm not saying he's going to be there. Of course, for me, he's not. But at the minute, it's just stupid. His record is just.
Well, he has it's something like an expected goal ratio, and now I know. Well, I don't think it's possible. You can't really say never, but I think right now, if he was to carry on like this, he gets something like 66 goals this year.
It's unbelievable, and it is actually just. I don't know. I don't really know what to say about him anymore. So he's just an out-and-out machine. It's one of them that.
As much as I know, from a rivals fan point of view, you want him to get injured and see how they do after that and that, but you almost want him to stay fit just to see how many goals he can get.
I'm very intrigued about what records he can break. Because it's just exciting for football. It is, honestly, and it's just like, I don't know. I can't explain anything, but he's your typical. We've seen a lot of great number 9s down the years, and he's just given me memories of like a Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you can't, not really an R9. I'm trying to think of poachers. Like, I don't know. Like, you got the likes of Lewandowski, Diego Milito down the years. Higuain. There's lots of number 9s I can compare it, but he does feel like a real old school brute, doesn't he? Kind of. Yeah. He's just goals, isn't it? Alan Shearer-esque is as well. Honestly, it's just that's all he cares about, and it's just I'm fine with that. He's your number 9. He takes your pens. He just wants goals, and that's it. I mean, it's working for the team, and they're happy to provide him. So he's just, I don't know, Chaz. I don't know what to say about him. He's just too good. He's fucking overpowered.
Yeah, you sort of. It's just gonna feel like you're gonna be mentioning his name every week. So.
He's bringing proper Barclays Premier League moments here. These are proper. When we look back at it now, in 5 years' time, we're thinking, "Fucking hell, this guy was just up there with one of the greatest." I know, it's 8 games into his Premier League career, Chaz, and I'm already anticipating him being one of the greatest strikers to ever grace the Premier League.
Well, because you can't. I don't want to be discrediting to him himself, like. You can't see him not continuing it with the players around him because he's got the best sort of creators.
We got, yeah. I think Pep was trying to say the same, and we got to give credit to the people that are providing him as well. Yeah. Because we all knew City are the best providers in the world. They've got so many great creators that even Sterling was getting loads and loads of goals at the club, and people were saying, imagine Haaland and a proper goal scorer comes in, what it will be like. And I was like, I mean, the way they've adjusted to his game, these players as well, they know it's like they've been playing together for years. Honestly, and it's a real worry. It's a real worry, and I'm really jealous. I mean, the fact that that was anyway. We're on the third goal of the game, second goal for him. Yeah. Then the fourth goal comes along. It was actually, ironically, it was a counter attack from them, from when we were trying to hold on to the ball in their half. Haaland peels off. He's showing that he's not just a goal scorer; he can actually provide as well. Peels off to the left, runs down the left channel for a bit, and finds a perfect pass down to Foden at the back post on the right. And that one pass evaded about 4 to 5 players.
So what I was saying from a United standpoint for this goal, I watched it back and I just saw like Haaland peels off, but he gets about 5 or 6 touches before he plays the pass across, and no one's actually got anywhere near him. That's the we talk about giving players space. Now, I know you potentially may feel that you can give him a bit of space because he's not in the box and he's not, someone else isn't providing, but then you see what he can do, in terms of providing. So
I was annoyed at the fact that it bypassed 4 to 5 players, that one ball, and somehow Foden coming at the back post. There's so many players I can blame in that. The goalkeeper, first of all, I don't know why on earth he's so rooted to his line all the time. Half of these goals, he's not trying to come out and smother anything. I'm just sick and tired of De Gea. I'm just sick and tired of him, to be honest. He's just another player that I can't wait to see the back of now, to be honest. He's just overstayed his welcome now. He's been here for 12 years. And he needs to go. He needs to go because it's just, as long as we have him in goal, we're going to be stifled. We can't progress as a football club with him in goal at the minute. I'm sorry. He's finished at this kind of level. And I'm not just blaming him for all the goals, but it was just, that just triggered me and reminded me of how rooted he is to his line. It just, I don't know. That was the fourth. We get into half time 4-0.
Yeah, 4-0. That's the thing now, because I will mention this at the end in terms of the scoreline, how I feel like it's sort of got you potentially out of jail a little bit. But so 4-0 at half time.
We've been in 4-0 at half time already this season to Brentford as well.
Yeah.
So that's my big worry. My big worry about United. This is not all just Ten Hag. This is from previous regimes. After Ranieri and Oli and Mourinho, a lot of these players, when the going gets tough, they really do just drop their heads, and we can't lose with dignity at the moment. I feel like when we do lose, we get absolutely battered. I've seen Chaz. I'll name you. Yeah, I'll name you in this last year. Leicester away was 4-2. Brighton away was 4-0. Watford away was 4-1. Brentford away was 4-0. City away 4-1. City away 6-3. There's a few in the Champions League as well. Leipzig was 3-0 or 3-1 or whatever. What is it with this team where when things aren't going all rosy, they just don't seem to be able to keep their everything I said about Arsenal, about how they can they stick to their game plan and they're not fazed by conceding goals or going behind. United are fazed by it at the minute. They get really fazed, and any game plan we had is gone out the window, and we just lose our heads, and it's chaos mode, it's panic mode. They forget exactly what the managers told them. It must be so frustrating for Ten Hag. It must be. I saw him after. Remember 1-0 when he was shaking his head? He was just sitting there thinking, "Shit!" Like they've not listening to anything I'm saying. Basically, it was a real picture. That was. He was literally just shaking his head like this, and I was like, "Oh God." So that has to be something we got to iron out. I mean, Ten Hag has to find a way to more about the mentality of this squad to iron out.
Yeah.
We can't keep collapsing when we concede. We need to just remain calm, stop panicking as well. And we'll see when we play our next, our next game. We need to just remain calm and just like you conceded a goal. You've still got, we still had 82 minutes plus when we conceded our first goal.
Yeah, well, we spoke about it for Arsenal that always now you've had this bad result and we'll probably say it at the end, but what you can do going into next game now. And there is, I don't know if you can call them positives, but then the players that we're going to sort of bring up now in the second half, you could maybe look at them in a positive way.
They are more, yeah. If I'm going to flip any kind of positives into this, which I'm not, I don't believe there was any, but I'm looking more into the future beyond this game. Is obviously the only change we made at halftime was Luke Shaw, and I think he was actually pretty good, to be honest. When he came on, he pretty much was involved in. Well, I know he's definitely involved in our second goal anyway, but Luke Shaw's just one of them that I know he's very good on the ball. It's just about when he's off the ball. I think he may have been at fault for the Foden goal at the end as well because he kept him onside. But yeah, so we made that change. I would say for a good 15-minute spell, we controlled. City let us, but we controlled the game. That hence why, if you look at the stats at the end, I think it was 54 for 46 possession.
Yeah.
And I think during that spell must have been our huge chunk of possession. We must have had at least 75, 80% of the ball at that point.
Yeah.
And obviously, City naturally just dropped off. They didn't have to worry. And they didn't have to worry because the goal I'm about to bring up, Anthony absolutely out of nowhere, that's not something we were building towards. That just was a complete freak of individual brilliance.
Yeah, it was
how many times I said about individual
moment.
brilliance with United down the last years.
It was just a magic moment from a player that, even at 4-1 sort of deserved to have a cheer for a bit of brilliance, to be honest.
He was good in that spell up until his goal, and then he continued playing well after his goal as well, which I was happy about. I was just trying to kind of psychoanalyze him for a bit, and it was good. It was good flicks, good touches, everything you want in a winger. He was making the right decisions in terms of passing. I liked it. I liked everything I saw. And Anthony's goal was, it was a zinger, wasn't it? It literally, like, he took it down, plucked it from the air, got it out in that favoured left foot and whipped it into the side netting. So then, that brings us back to 4-1. And then City just show they can click into gear again, just like that.
That's what I'm talking about, the sort of just change in pace again. Like,
it
was almost, to be fair, and I will give it a little bit of credit even to Haaland for this. I do feel as though, like, he is so eager to just go again. Like, and it's almost like Pep can't have been happy with, at the end conceding 3, but it's hard to, that's just him being a perfectionist. But
Haaland's mentality is elite. It's elite.
It does feel. I'm not saying it's just him, but it does feel like you see him just go again, and suddenly it's 5-1. Like, just if there, not that there was much hope of you coming back, but if there was any sort of, are they just going to have a sort of laid back second half where they don't do anything? It sort of just got wiped out the window again because they just went again.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up. Half of why Haaland is so good is his mentality, to be honest. That pretty much gets him half his goals at least. So it doesn't need to be about the technical side of things. He's just a mentality monster in himself, isn't he, to be honest? And the whole team is, to be honest, as well as him. Then they went on to get the 5th not long after, and that was his hat-trick. Again, a very typical City goal again, like kind of across the box from it was Sergio Gomez. I think it might have been Gomez. Yeah. Across the box. He's already, look how quickly he's adjusted to things now as well. They just fit in like a glove, all these players. It is what you call a well-oiled machine, isn't it? It is just everything is running at maximum optimum level. And it is almost like a team of robots. Now, people have said that it is almost like a team of robots with a super robot at the fucking end of it. And then, he absolutely rips the net open and he's gone. And then that's it. He's got his hat-trick. His 3rd hat-trick in 3 games. His 3rd hat-trick in 8 Premier League games. Closest to that was 49 from Michael Owen before that. He's just... I'm not going to talk. I think we need a whole separate video on this freak, to be honest, anyway.
Also, he sets up the next one as well.
That's I think the 6th one for me may have been the most frustrating one out of every single goal, because there was just him and Foden against about 5 to 6 maybe United players, and we were kind of standing like statues at this point. I just feel like we allowed Haaland to take about 5 touches.
Yeah, agreed. Again, exactly like what I said with the other one. And that one actually, he did play a really good pass, but this one,
No, this one, it just ricocheted off his... No,
yeah, this one you're allowing him to do whatever he likes.
We tried to get rid of it, and I think it ricocheted off his foot into Foden's path or something like that. And then Foden hit it. Foden obviously was free. No one reacted. That was it. De Gea, like a statue again, as honestly. And yeah, it was a good finish from him. And I think we all thought it was offside. I think because no one was cheering. No one was fully cheering at the start. And then there was some sort of, weren't they looking at whether the ball went off the pitch anyway prior to that as well?
Yeah, they were looking at a few odd things.
Yeah, and then obviously that goal stood in the end. Great finish from Foden. He grabbed his hat trick, 2 hat tricks from one from a fucking young kid from Stockport who was a City fan, and another City fan. So really, the reason I was saying I was jealous of City is that they beat your local rivals, and 2 kids that supported them when they were younger both bag hat tricks against us.
Yeah.
It's fucking the dream, isn't it? It's the dream. I'm so jealous of them, but I don't know who to be jealous of because I don't know any City fans. That's the thing as well. Like, I'm so jealous of just them in general and the way they're run.
Yeah.
They're good. I mean, they just have to be they are the greatest team ever. I think in the Premier League, maybe. I think so, chats. Maybe we can we can do something else about this. But when I just look back in it and revise about it, they're just too good, man. And Pep, I hate them. I hate them, to be honest. I don't like them. And that was it. So yeah, they made it 6-1. I've seen City beat us 6-1 before, even under Fergie. So I wasn't. Again, I've seen this happen. And then what minute did they even score that goal? I lost track of everything at that point.
Foden's of 73rd minute.
Okay, so then the game passed by for another 10 minutes. Felt like we had another spell again where they let us just kind of come on to them. Come on to them. And then I think a good bit of play. It was a good bit of play. Probably our best move of the game for our second goal, where I think it came out to Luke Shaw. He flicked it into Fred, and then Fred had a pop. And then obviously Martial was there to head in the rebound at the end. And then we just carried on doing our thing. Then Bruno kind of falls over. Then Martial cleverly puts his foot in the way to draw Cancelo in to win a penalty. And then the penalty was sublime. It was over right into the top corner. And that was it, 6-3.
For me, in terms of, you've covered it on United, but for me, in terms of City, in my opinion, and you might slightly not completely agree, but because you still rate Arsenal and the likes getting closer, but I think they showed how far ahead they are for me. And I actually will give a bit of props to what Klopp has done at Liverpool to try and keep up with this team, because it's just relentless. There's not much more we can actually say, but it just sort of put a little stamp on. There you go. If there was any questions about the start of the season, there's your performance.
Well, I'll leave the video on this.
Alex Ferguson was asked in 2009 if City could ever go into a derby as favourites. He said, not in my lifetime. Now it's every time.